Hello and welcome to the Tech Lunch Podcast, where we encourage our listeners to learn something new about tech every week. This can range from learning about new and exciting applications to the advancements in coding and technology. If you are always learning, you will always be a step above the rest. Take the time during lunch or during a break to listen and learn, kind of like a lunch and learn, but for the ears. This podcast will open the listeners' ears to new and exciting technologies they may have not been purviewed to in the past. These topics will range from manufacturing technologies to data collection technologies and everything in between. Hello, I'm Nick.
Hello, I'm Edward.
And welcome to the first Tech at Lunch snack episode. The snack episodes are smaller episodes where we cover singular topics in less than 15 minutes. So you, the listener, can listen to them when you're taking a break, getting a coffee, or having a snack. Whereas the full-length episodes are 30 minutes in length, span the duration of a lunch break. This week's snack episode is Industry 4.0, which will also segue into follow-on episodes about the components of Industry 4.0 and their techniques. So, let's get started. So, Ed, when we're talking about Industry 4.0, what are you thinking when you start thinking about Industry 4.0?
Well, Industry 4.0 is actually a tool that's going to be a game changer. It's going to be a game changer for automotive industry or just for consumer use. This is going to give you the opportunity to get data, use data, and take that data and learn where you make mistakes, and take that data and learn where you didn't make mistakes.
Which is kind of funny you bring that up, because the actual definition of Industry 4.0 is, in the grand scheme of things, is the ongoing automation of traditional manufacturing industrial practices using modern smart technology, large-scale machine-to-machine communication, and the Internet of Things are integrated for increased automation, improved communication, and self-monitoring, and the production of smart machines that analyze and diagnose issues without the need for human intervention. So it's kind of like, we talk about, IoT or IoT. We're talking about, I hate to say it, the whole, Alexa web interface, the smart things interface and stuff like that when you're talking about IoT.
And so just to give an example. So say in a factory, when we're talking machinery, we're concerned with mean time before failure. In the past, someone had to manually get this data and look at this data and figure out what the data was saying. With Industry 4.0, those things and those tools are built inside. So the human aspect is just to take the data, instead of trying to analyze it, you decipher what's already been analyzed.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Now, the funny part is, if you think about it, where, Industry 4.0 derived from, it was a high-tech strategy actually brought on by the German government, which promotes the computerization of manufacturing. And, when we're talking about that type of thing, we'll actually throw a link to that document actually in the show notes that was actually in German. So if you don't speak German, sorry. And if you think about it, the strategy has multiple focus areas, which is production, service, and work, IT systems, electronic systems and communication systems, IT security, international partnerships and innovation, and also the Industry 4.0 platform for the network for digital industry change. So, we're kind of thinking MQTT, IoT, and stuff like that, I think.
So now, not only do I go from the top of the pyramid, where I'm sending information to a MES system, now I'm going to the very base of the pyramid, where I'm talking to a sensor. Now I can actually get data from a sensor, take that data and analyze that data throughout the pyramid of our structure, and now we can make business decisions. Now we can say, hey, when we run this type of model, here's a problem. Hey, when we run that type of model, we don't have a problem. Yeah. So we're talking efficiency.
Right.
That's the goal.
And the thing is if you think about it, you start dealing with, that's the automotive side. And if, that entire system segues into the logistical side of the house, the warehousing, where you have automated reporting of AGVs, automated ground vehicles, You're talking about the automation of stocks and ranges, amongst other things. Part consumption, if you're talking about manufacturing and warehousing, kind of intertwined and combined to each other. And also the logging, that's the big thing that we're dealing with now. So it's like when you think about it, MQTT is, I guess you could say, with the dummy-proof version of, well, not MQTT, but Industry 4.0 is the dummy-proof version of manufacturing.
Yeah, and just to go away from automotive for just a second, just to give you another example, because I believe examples actually give people a more realistic view. Think about the industry that do services, or the industry that does produce. Hey, we don't sell that much of this. It's real time. I can take that data instead of somebody going out there and counting how many carrots I got. We know how many carrots we sold by what's going through the register, point of sales. So this is something that's not only going to affect automotive to consumers, it's going to affect consumers from, say, the grocery store.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you think about it, you have all these major manufacturers now that are using the Industry 4.0 to update their vehicles from a distance. The over-the-air updates. Mm-hmm. And now, you come from like the maintenance standpoint from any industry, and you go from the wrench turning maintenance guy where everything's done the hard way, to having to span that industry of, now you have a maintenance guy who's also an IT guy. And I think it's kind of a split of skills, but it's also like a combination of skills. So it makes the maintenance side of the house and all platforms, all industries, smarter, better, faster.
Yeah, and so and as I said before, the mean time before failure also has things like predictive and proactive. So we want to be predictive as opposed to be proactive. I want to predict when something fails. I want to predict the life cycle of a sensor. I want to predict what units or models or items are going to cause problems in production, and I can manage that and say, I know I'm going to have this slot of time where I'm going to have some interruption of the services to the equipment. I mean, it's very valuable.
Yeah, I think freaking, the whole thing with, knowing what's going to break, predictive maintenance, proactive maintenance, if you want to put it that way, is one of those things that makes life simple. And, we talked about the whole carrots thing. Hell, it's, take a UAV and put a camera on it that counts. It's the smart data, the smart side of the house, machine learning and AI that can count your crops for you. That's kind of where we're going, I think, with Industry 4.0. And it kind of helps us, span what is the future in all industries.
And I think that the one thing that I think really will gain from this is that now I can give real-time data or send real-time data back to the manufacturer of whatever item or service I'm purchasing from them and say, hey, here's where you have a problem. Here's your bug. It's actually a way to make whatever product better. So the consumer will actually have an input in the next, I would say, the next cycle of that product.
Yeah, evolutionary design.
Yeah.
And, it's not just for, stuff in main industries. If you think about it, it's also the same thing in aerospace. And if you think about it, sooner or later it'll get down to healthcare. I think healthcare is the next big data.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you got people who have the, the heart monitors and stuff like that report back to the hospitals that tells them when somebody's going to have a heart attack. Or if they've been shocked one too many times to get their heart back into a regular rhythm. So, it's like Industry 4.0 is our stepping stone. It gets us to where we want to be, but it also makes us understand of where we came from. So we're building upon the industries that have been there in the past.
And it can also help us with resources. It can help us to see where we're using the resources, which areas use more resources. How can we better take those resources and distribute it over all of the units based on, hey, we got more usage here, but why? So now this can report back and we can figure out why we have more usage here. So it's a really good tool, and it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, that the usage thing kind of makes sense, especially if you're talking like from a facility standpoint. How much water am I using? How much power am I using? How much of all these other processes and procedures am I actually touching? So I think it kind of gives us a holistic approach to pretty much everything. It's not just a manufacturing thing, but it's definitely a holistic approach to everything.
And I even think, of course, it's not apples to apples, but say if we have any football fans or any sport fans, now I can start using these systems and techniques that we use in Energy 4.0 and take those to these teams and say, hey, you can use this to monitor and take this data. And now hey, I noticed when he throws a curveball, his arm drops so many degrees in angle. So it's a good tool, and I think, like I said, Industry 4.0 is going to be a game changer.
Oh, if you think about it, now if you talk about like the college combine, you and me both are college football fans. If you talk about it, smart football, now you have the velocity of, reported by UPGT of that football leaving the quarterback's hands and how fast it gets to his target.
Yeah, like I said. And the other it's other things. It's the roads. I mean, we can know, hey, how can we be strategic about when we have to do service on this road? How can we be strategic about when we send power to this area? Can we send more power to here or there? And like I said, Industry 4.0 is going to even tell us, hey, we've got a strain on this system and we're about to have a failure. So it is going to be I would say a combination of old technology with new technology that's going to be a really big impact to the world.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I think that, Industry 4.0 is the future of all major things. And it's not just one industry. It's going to be every industry that feels the impact, from human engineering, from the Columbine to all the way up to, the automotive industry of the future, the whole automated, vehicles that are driving down the street, like the Teslas or the freight liners that are out there driving themselves down the street. I think it's going to be a very open-ended industry that everybody can take advantage of.
And I would say, what better way for us to make the leap from Earth to Mars than to use the technology that's going to be used in Industry 4.0? We will need it desperately to make that leap.
I 100% agree with that. I'm a big space fan. And, I follow, most of the big space industries out there. So it's like, seeing Industry 4.0 come apart, come available and stuff like that, gives hope. It's not just for, the voyage to there, but it's also the research. Because I think Industry 4.0 is also going to help with that. It's going to help with a lot of the research and that we're dealing with. How we can find out, if there is something else in our solar system and how we're going to get there.
And also resources. There are resources on asteroids that are astronomical that can be used for good for the world. So in the Industry 4.0 and the things that come with it is going to be, like I said, vital to those things.
Yeah. I think Industry 4.0 is a vital point to the movement forward and, the removal of fossil fuels and stuff like that, going from internal combustion engines to the electric engines of the future. I think Industry 4.0 is going to help lead that path.
Yeah, and Industry 4.0 probably was not seen by visionaries like Tesla back then, but Tesla had the idea when he said using free energy, using energy, wirelessly. So I believe even that is possible with Industry 4.0. No need for a wiring medium that has a voltage drop that's basically heat loss. So there's some things we can do to be really efficient.
Yeah. And think about it. Efficiency comes with security. The more efficient you are, the more secure you are. Because what's happening at any point in time within the phase and the movement of, usage versus non-usage.
Like I said, for a snack, went over a little bit, but I think it was a really, really good talk between me and Nick. What do you think?
Yeah. Hey, I think that's a great idea. And a great thing. Hey, sometimes, these things are just, spitballing ideas and getting to know it. But it also opens up, the future of, what we're going to be talking about. And I think we're going to see that in these next upcoming full-length episodes that we're going to do. So, hey, at this point in time, it's good to say, hey, hopefully you learned a little bit of something about Industry 4.0, got your attention, get you doing a little bit of your own research, and, hopefully you pay attention to the follow-on episodes that we can go ahead and capitalize on. Thank you for listening to the Tech at Lunch podcast, where we hope you learned something about tech during your break or during your lunchtime. If you did, please give us a follow to prevent missing future episodes. If you have any ideas or something you want to hear or learn about, please send us a show idea to podcast@vulcanara.com. Hope you have a good rest of the day and continue learning.